Good morning, 11x1. I hope you are well on this fine, if rather grey looking Thursday. Well, we are coming up to the end of what may very well be our final week of lockdown learning. I hope you are healthy and well. And let's roll forward into our final Animal Farm extract study before we do a progress assessment tomorrow. And then we return to the classroom next week, hopefully, and begin something new. Well, newish. And so here is our extract for today from chapter 6 of Animal Farm. Now you may notice by the end of this extract that there is something that links all three extracts together. And this will, if you can notice this, it might help you with tomorrow's progress assessment as well. But let's just see if you can identify by the end of this extract what it is that is the same, that is identical even across all three extracts. For now, let's turn to reading this extract from chapter 6. It was about this time that the pigs suddenly moved into the farmhouse and took up their residence there. Again, the animals seemed to remember that a resolution against this had been passed in the early days. And again Squealer was able to convince them that this was not the case. It was absolutely necessary, he said, that the pigs, who were the brains of the farm, should have a quiet place to work in. It was also more suited to the dignity of the leader, for of late he had taken to speaking of Napoleon under the title of leader, to live in a house than in a mere sty. Nevertheless, some of the animals were disturbed when they heard that the pigs not only took their meals in the kitchen and used the drawing room as a recreation room, but also slept in beds. Boxer passed it off as usual with, "Napoleon is always right." But Clover, who thought she remembered a definite ruling against beds, went to the end of the barn and tried to puzzle out the 7 commandments which were inscribed there. Finding herself unable to read more than individual letters, she fetched Muriel. "Muriel," she said, "read me the 4th commandment. Does it not say something about never sleeping in a bed?" With some difficulty, Muriel spelt it out. "It says, 'No animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets,'" she announced finally. Curiously enough, Clover had not remembered that the 4th commandment mentioned sheets, but as it was there on the wall, it must have done so. And Squealer, who happened to be passing at this moment, attended by 2 or 3 dogs, was able to put the whole matter in its proper perspective. "You have heard then, comrades," he said, "that we pigs now sleep in the beds of the farmhouse. And why not? You do not suppose, surely, that there was ever a ruling against beds? A bed merely means a place to sleep in. A pile of straw in a stall is a bed, properly regarded. The rule was against sheets, which are a human invention. We have removed the sheets from the farmhouse beds and sleep between blankets. And very comfortable beds they are too, but not more comfortable than we need, I can tell you, comrades, with all the brain work we have to do nowadays. You would not rob us of our purpose, would you, comrades? You would not have us too tired to carry out our duties. Surely none of you wishes to see Jones back." The animals reassured him on this point immediately, and no more was said about the pigs sleeping in the farmhouse beds. And when, some days afterwards, it was announced that from now on the pigs would get up an hour later in the mornings than the other animals, no complaint was made about that either. Now, what we've just read is all the extract that we need to work with, and is about the correct length for an extract study. I have given you a longer extract to work with if you wish. So you can see here the next part of this chapter is on the page as an extract, as an extension. In many ways, having a longer extract is easier in that it gives you more text to work with and more text to identify features with. But it's also longer and can kind of dilute the focus of what you might want to write about. I leave you to decide whether you want to work with just the first part of the extension, which we've just read together, so this part up here, or if you want to read this extract and the extension bit as part of activity 2, which is your annotation, and activity 3, which is the writing. But let's take a quick moment, a minute or two, to look at the extract and what might be some elements you might focus on. Did anyone spot the quote that links this with the previous extract with the one before that? So the linking factor, the element that's common across all three extracts, is of course this quote from Squealer. Surely none of you wishes to see Jones back. And you'll see that across all three extracts. There might be something worthy of your attention there to annotate and to write about. Okay, a few other things may be worth noticing, annotating, and then writing about. Again, you don't have to do it all, because I'm only asking you to do a paragraph or two. But to give you some options here, you should notice the change in title, how Napoleon is being called a leader with a capital L there, which suggests that it's not just a functional noun, but here it is, identifying him as above and beyond the others. So this idea of equality is being lost. You might look at the role of Squealer through all this and how he's the one who presents the arguments used to convince the animals of certain things. And I think possibly most importantly in this extract is the role that literacy plays, which seems very appropriate for World Book Day. The fact that the animals struggle to read means that the rules can be changed without them noticing. So though Clover has a memory of what the fourth commandment was, she is unable to read it for herself, and she has to turn to somebody else to spell it out for her, who didn't have that memory and does not seem to have shown any interest in noticing when perhaps there was an update done to these rules without her noticing. And so within this, the idea of education in literacy as a form of control seems really important to this novel. As a final comment, comments, just one or two more things. You might notice something about the rhetorical techniques that Squealer uses, the verbal dexterity with which he is able to convince the animals of certain truths or untruths, I guess you can say, and how he is able to convince the animals to allow the pigs to get away with what they get away with. So you have that. If we look down towards the other part of the extract, which again is completely optional, you might want to look at the reaction to the windmill, the pride they have in it, and in the sense of loss when it's destroyed, and how Napoleon recovers from this loss, and how Snowball is made not just the victim, the one who's blamed for everything that goes wrong, but how he is used as a figure of fear to help control the animals and to cover up anything that goes wrong with the farm. And we see much more of this later in the novel. So if you're studying the extract and you're looking to link to the rest of the novel, well, this is the introduction of Snowball as as a boogeyman, as this figure that can take the blame for anything that happens. And so there you have it. That's your lesson, your final extract study. The 3 extract studies will feed naturally into what's going to be our progress question tomorrow, and that will bring this 2-week period of studying Animal Farm to an end. We will return to Animal Farm in the future, again, of course, but the idea here is to interleave your study. So we do some Animal Farm now, something else with our return to the classroom, and do that for 2 weeks, and then something else, to try and keep all the major elements of what we're studying in English fresh in your mind, and to hopefully stop any of it from fading into oblivion through disuse or lack of practice or reading. But that's it. So good luck with your work today. As always, keep healthy, keep safe, and goodbye.